Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Becoming a Badass Podcast, Pharmacy Badass Podcast. I always forget that. I'm going to get it right one day. I am your host today, Heather Haro. I am super thrilled to have old company but new guests on. I have the Theresas, as I lovingly call them. They are recent Flash Returns employees. So we're on with Flash Returns today, which if you have been following Diversify, Lisa, our Pharmacy Profit Summit for any amount of time, you know that we are ginormous fans of Flash Returns. And these two ladies have joined the crew. So I invited them on so we could chat about kind of their roles and what they're seeing and how they're making how they're taking their girl power and making Flash even better. So Theresa von Fricken is our first guest. And then Theresa, I did not practice your name. Theresa.
That's fine. Theresa Cuttitta.
Cuttitta. There we go. Okay. So these are my new friends, the Theresas, which I'm sure you guys just love being called that.
we like to say TNT.
Yeah, we like to call ourselves TNT.
Oh, I love that. That's great. That's great. So either one of you hop in and give us a little introduction about yourself and what you do at Flash.
Sure, I'll go first. I've been working in reverse distribution for 15 years now. So I've been living and breathing the industry. It's the only way I've gotten into pharmaceuticals, actually. I was not in pharmaceuticals. And when I first got into pharmaceuticals, I said, what is reverse distribution? Didn't even know it existed. Sure. But I've been living and breathing it for 15 years. I've done a lot. I've overseen various departments within the warehouse. I've been out in the field as a representative. I've overseen customer service. But most recently, within the last 5 to 6 years, I've been overseeing as national accounts manager. And that's what I'm doing now at Flash. So I oversee all of our national accounts.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And other T, the second T.
Yes. So I am a marketing director by trade and have been doing that for double-digit years. But I have spent the last 10 years in the pharmaceutical reverse distribution industry. I'm excited to be with Flash Returns. I love helping the pharmacies, and I like being involved in the end of the life of the pills and the medicine, making sure it gets to where it needs to go and that everybody feels good about that. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you.
That is amazing. So Theresa von Fricken, we do have some listeners that are either brand new pharmacy owners or are planning on being pharmacy owners. So for those who are saying, Heather, we have absolutely no idea who Flash Returns is and what in the world is reverse distribution, can you give us just a little bit of knowledge on that?
Sure. So reverse distribution in its simplest form is a returns company. So what we do is we take in your expired, unwanted, or unused pharmaceuticals, we process them, and while processing them, we use a database of all the manufacturer's returns, and the returns will dictate whether those products can be returned for credit. And that credit can be returned back into your pharmacy and be used in any way you see fit, whether you use that for purchasing more pharmaceuticals to put back on your shelves. But also, most importantly, what reverse distribution does is it handles the waste that comes out of the pharmacy, which is very, very important. In the case of an audit, you want to know that somebody's handling your drugs, disposing of them, and you have all the necessary information that you could successfully pass that audit and get through all of that heavy lifting, because we all love audits. But yeah, so what we do is we take in unwanted expired medications, we process them. Hopefully, if they have a return value, you'll get issued credit by the manufacturer. And if they don't, we'll dispose of them for you. So that's what Flash Returns does. They take in those drugs and they process them for the pharmacy. Flash Returns was established in 2017. And I love actually telling the story of Flash Returns because being in the industry for 15 years, I've learned a lot about the gray areas, the good, the bad parts of it. And I'm so proud to be a part of a team that really just started the company because they themselves were in the industry as pharmacists.
Yep.
And they were a little kind of sick and tired of dealing with reverse distributors not meeting their needs. So they decided, well, let's just do it ourselves. So it's a lot of pride to work with people that are focused on the customer because they were the customer.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much more pleasurable to work with people that are focused on the end result from the customer's perspective and not the, hey, I'm just looking to get as much money out of you as I possibly can.
Yeah, I 100% agree. One of my favorite parts about Flash is that you guys are so transparent. So
Right.
so you say this isn't a strategy to make you rich overnight.
Right.
It is a process, and trust the process. And not everything is a slam dunk, hooray, hurrah, win. And that needs to be said. I mean, yes, we want to tell the good parts and the good, but it's so refreshing to have a company that'll be like, we're going to see and let you know, instead of, oh yeah, you're going to be great. And then you start counting on something that never comes through. And I think that's somewhat of an issue in our industry.
I agree. I always think this connects with people. I always say that reverse distribution is kind of like a tax return.
Yeah.
It's very necessary to pay your taxes, but at the end of the year, you hope to get something back, right? But it's not something that you run your life on. So, you don't run your business on the credits that you're going to get back from reverse distribution, but yet it's still a very necessary part of the pharmaceutical industry. You have to have this service. And if you get something back, great. But the more important part of it is making sure that you're choosing a reverse distributor that is following all the rules and regulations, state and federal rules and regulations, and they can provide to you transparency in their reporting to help you really reconcile your returns. Like I said, help you out in an audit. And if you get a little bit back, great. But it's not something you want to run your business on,
I love that. I do think other people like it's going to change your life, kind of. I think that comes around a little bit. So tell me, what are some of the big challenges that pharmacies are facing in managing this process?
I think one of the challenges is time management.
Mm.
I have noticed over the years that staffing has become an issue within the pharmacy. So with managing inventory and taking care of patients, there really isn't much time left or enough staff to focus on returning expired meds. So it's very important that you choose a reverse distributor that makes that process easy and hassle-free. You want to choose somebody where the returns process online is simple, that you can get all your reporting simply. You don't have to put a little time and effort into it. And I think that's one of the challenges. Another challenge is, picking the right RD. And I think, that's one of the factors. You want to pick somebody that's going to be transparent. You want to know, was my return received? Has it been processed? Have I received any credit? So the challenges are finding the time to deal with reverse distribution, but also finding somebody that you can get that reporting that you're looking for in transparency. And you try to find somebody that's really not going to hit you up with a lot of fees.
Yeah.
I think that, with reverse distribution kind of being the end of life, it's not at the forefront of pharmaceuticals, right? The manufacturers have already sold you the drugs. That they've done the part that they probably care most about. The return process was really something that born out of EPA, state, federal, and environmental concerns. And it was a way of the manufacturers getting these pharmacies to abide by these rules to make sure it didn't end up in landfills. And that's really how reverse distribution was born. So the incentive to get people to send drugs in was hard. So they said, well, we'll give you credit. So I think that, because it's not the most important part of the pharmacy,
Right.
that you pick somebody that you can manage it in a short amount of time and it's easy and hassle-free.
Yeah, that it just kind of flows with your workflow.
Sure, yeah.
Creating a whole big process.
Correct.
I love that.
And just on that note, I'll just mention that Flash has the 2D scanners that are available to all customers, complimentary, and they're DSCSA compliant. So again, another way to make it easy for them to just send in their return and inventory everything, and again go into our easy and hassle-free branding.
I use the words easy and hassle-free because that's our motto at Flash Returns. You see it a lot on our webpage. You'll see it in our flyers. That's really was the goal in mind, was how do we make this easy for the pharmacy?
Yeah.
And that's 2D scanner. Yeah.
We try to live up to that.
Yes. Yeah. They need an easy button. So I know that I dipped my toes in a little bit in the whole, this industry or this niche in the industry can overpromise. What are some other misconceptions about reverse distribution?
Sure. Quite often I hear customers telling me that, oh, this RD can collect more credit, or I think this RD gets me credit faster. Really, it works the same for all reverse distributors. Nobody has any magic sauce. You can't strong arm a manufacturer. Okay. So that is a false statement. We all report the same returns in the same manner, but the time in which we report them may be different. Some reverse distributors may choose to report their returns in what they call batching. So they hold your returns and they report it maybe, every other month or at, the end of a quarter. So that can delay the timing on when you get credit. But Flash Returns doesn't. As it comes through the door on a monthly basis, we're reporting that return. We don't hold on to the product. So while we can't get you credit faster through the manufacturer, our processes may allow us to do it faster. But there's no financial relationship with the manufacturer that says, one RD is going to get the credit before another. We're all equal.
I love that. So you're saying there's no secret sauce, but you really have the secret sauce because you've created the process.
Yeah, it's really the process in which the RD is reporting those returns. It's not necessarily a relationship benefit between an RD and the manufacturer. So as far as credit goes, though, there's not one RD that will collect more credit than the other. We're all held to the same standard, which is really dictated by the manufacturer and their policy. If they're going to issue credit, they're going to issue credit on products in the same amount that they would issue to any RD. There's not one RD that's going to get more than the other. And another misconception, and I don't know if it's a misconception or rather the gray area, is you like to see a lot of people promise fees that are all inclusive. And that's not always the case, yet it's not always in the forefront. Not all fees are inclusive. And I always encourage customers to investigate by looking at their agreements on hand, looking at terms and conditions of a reverse distributor, and always monitoring their returns in terms of reconciliation, and see if there's any hidden fees that pop up. And again, to Flash Returns, and kind of sounds silly after saying that, reverse distributors will tell you have an all-inclusive. It is, in fact, all-inclusive with Flash Return. We don't charge minimums. We do not charge on destruction. We do not charge for 222 forms. We do not charge for shipping. Another benefit is that, the fees, I'm getting more, right, from one return to the next. Well, that may be because that they're basing your return on an estimated return value. And it kind of inflates what it looks like you're going to get. At Flash Returns, we base our estimates on actual. So we use returns data to come up with an estimated return value based upon what we've seen returned credit-wise for that product in the past. So you have to be careful when, you're looking at, you think you're getting more from one reverse distributor than the next, because their ERVs are higher, but they're basing it off of WAC pricing. So they are going to be higher. But an estimated return value with Flash is going to be based off of actual. And actual tends to be sometimes 25% of the actual value. There are things like restocking fees. Sometimes manufacturers will do 25 to 30% restocking fees as soon as you return the product. It's like driving the car off the lot.
Yeah.
You buy a brand new car, you drive it off the lot, its value is reduced significantly.
Right.
So, there's this misconception that you're getting more, but no, they're just showing you a value that's much higher than what you're actually getting.
Oh, so it's bait and switch, which is never fun.
A little bit of bait and switch. And another misconception is a lot of people like quick pay programs. And again, I don't know if it's really a misconception or a misunderstanding of what that means. Quick pay programs, yes and no. Are they beneficial? They offer customers credit and returns up front without the manufacturer's return evaluation or their final evaluation, which is generally attractive to pharmacies who rely on the credit as a financial solution. However, without knowing how much credit will come through by the manufacturer, the RD will only credit on products which they know yield consistent credit. So what's happening is you're getting your money quicker, and that seems great, but you're getting paid out on products that we know are going to pay out. But because policies change so frequently, you may return a product and the policy may have changed where that product is now returnable, or at the time, maybe the product is indated and I have to hold your product for 4 months, 5 months, right? And it was non-returnable at the time that you returned it, but when it actually was eligible for return, that policy changed and now you get credit. Well, the customer's not going to get that credit because you've already been paid out. So you're going to lose out on that money. So it is good for the pharmacy who needs the money today, but in the long run, waiting to get that credit is always the best method of going about your returns because you're going to get all of it.
Right. So it really is, you guys, there's a method to your madness. Like there's no other company that really can like truly stand on that. It's that if I'm returning everything at once, you're taking a look at everything and determining the best strategy for each return, as opposed to just your whole bulk thing and let's just send you on your way. I think that's effective.
And it is effective, but there are pharmacies out there, and we know with all these new rules and regulations that, it's a lot harder these days running a pharmacy. There's a lot of expenses. There's a lot of procedures being introduced that are costing these pharmacies a lot of money. And because of that, they've had to reduce staff. So, there are pharmacies out there where a quick pay program may be the solution for them. So that's why I like to say it's neither good or bad. Best practice would be to wait. But if you do need the money today, then a quick pay program may be beneficial for you. And that's something
situational.
It's situational. And that's something Flash is exploring as well.
Sure. I love, though, that just like I said previously, you guys are completely transparent with it. Like, if hey, Theresa, I need money tomorrow, I'm going out of business. Well, I can't help you. Go to the next one. Or if you could let me hold on to these just for what I am, do not listen to me for advice, 20, 10 days, whatever that number is, then I can give you higher returns. That's fantastic transparency. And to really let you know, so then they can strategize. You can't strategize without the information. You're running blind. So this at least gives you the information to be able to have, super intelligent strategy.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. See, you're even teaching me new stuff, and I've been around the company for a long time.
That's good. That's good to hear. And anybody on the Flash customer facing service team can have these conversations with the pharmacist or with their representative, which is also a great to have an experienced and expert knowledge staff, you know?
Yeah, one of the benefits that we've realized, or one of the faults to some of the competition, is they don't have a very good experience with customer service. So customer service is very, very important, and having somebody that picks up that phone and talks to you that's knowledgeable, and sometimes that is the whole part of it, is they're just not educated. Nobody's educated on reverse distribution, so you feel so lost.
Right. Right. I could get that. So these our pharmacist friends are calling companies that don't have educated folks on the phone, and they're leaving, could be, I'm not saying all, please don't chop my head off, anybody. They could be feeling more confused after a phone call. And that's frustrating.
Yeah, very frustrating.
And the thing about reverse distribution is sometimes people don't know the questions to ask because it is an unfamiliar topic. So even like Theresa mentioned about the no minimums, you know, if you don't even think that there's going to be a minimum, why would you ask? Now you're in with another reverse distributor and they're charging you, you know, $300, even though your return was less than that.
Right.
But, you know, that's part of the contract. So it's really good to have those conversations with the staff at your reverse distributor.
I love that. I love that. And I think, you know, one thing I'm realizing as Theresa is talking is that the manufacturers did this to check a box, not necessarily to help pharmacists.
Yeah, I could spend 45 minutes going into the history of how reverse distribution was born, but I don't think we have time for it on this podcast. Maybe another podcast. We can do the history of reverse distribution.
So tell me, how does reverse distribution, though, help the sustainability of our little industry?
Well, as I mentioned, the handling and removal of pharmaceutical products is often the forgotten aspect of pharmacy practice and regulation, but it is, however, a substantial public health matter. In addition to removing, you know, unwanted, unused, and unsaleable pharmaceuticals, reverse distributors also remove pharmaceutical waste from retail and hospital pharmacies and drug manufacturers. And what this does is it minimizes the environmental impact. You know, with growing environmental concerns by the EPA, the importance of choosing a reverse distributor can offer an environmentally sound option for managing the returns is so pivotal, you know, to ensuring these items don't end up in landfill, where they could be potentially leached into waterways and otherwise contaminate the environment.
Yeah. I feel like in some areas of the country, this could almost be a selling point, a marketing point. We ensure, especially today, we hear so much is leached into our groundwater and so on and so forth. Everybody's trying to be healthy or get healthy. I almost think that it's almost a marketing point, that we're doing things the right way. We are taking care of our community in ways that are unseen.
We totally agree on that. And that's why we think it's so important to make sure that it's not going, you know, it's not being diverted. It's not going into the waterways. It is going back to the manufacturer. It's being disposed of properly. I'll tell you a story. Theresa and I were at a trade show one time and we asked somebody, so what do you do for your, you know, with your reverse distribution? What do you do with your leftover unwanted products? He said, I use the floosh method. We said, floosh? We don't know them. He goes like this. So he's still flushing it down the system, the sewer system or whatever. We were like, oh, we got to talk to you and we got to, you know, get this straightened out here. But he had no clue.
You know what, Theresa? I think I was sitting in your booth at NACDS when you guys had that conversation. Wasn't he in a different country that didn't require this? Like
that's somebody else.
That's somebody else. Yeah. Similar though. Yeah, we had that conversation, but he was in a different country, so I don't really know how it goes outside the U.S. I'm sure that
but this was a U.S.
Oh my God.
Pharmacy with a large pharmacy system.
Wow.
So you're right. It's really important, and it's important. It's just, you know, we want to do the best for keeping the environment, you know, the drugs out of the environment, and also from being diverted, which we know also can have devastating effects. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, more importantly too, that these rules can vary sometimes with how drugs are treated state to state.
Sure.
So, you know, that's something we focus on as well, is we make sure that we're abiding by, you know, local state regulations as well.
And we want the pharmacy to be as well in compliant with whatever the local laws are. So you're right, Theresa. That's, you know,
It's a lot of work to make sure
we're part
that
of that team.
Yep.
Yep.
I get that. I live in California, so everybody knows that we are the most regulated state. I'm surprised bubblegum isn't regulated yet. So I totally get that. So we always talk about KPIs, reporting, data. Lisa loves data. Heather Haro, not so much. Yet, yet tell me how, like the KPI, how does this help improve your returns management? Is there reporting you need to do? Does the reporting come from you? Explain kind of that process to me. How can I know that it's helping my pharmacy?
So for the customer, it's as simple as scanning in their products, boxing it, and sending it in with a shipping label to flash returns. Okay. We provide all the reporting after that. And the reporting is beneficial to the customer because it helps in a few ways. One, like I said earlier, if you're audited, you really want to have a tracking and traceability of your products. Sure. Which ones went into waste, the category of waste, and which ones were returned. It also helps financially to reconcile your return credit, see what kind of, you know, financial benefit that you're getting. So having accurate records of returned pharmaceuticals and disposal can help customers navigate the audit process. And also really see what the benefits are of the return credit. I think the reporting gives the customer confidence. You know, accurate reporting gives the customer peace of mind that the products they receive are legitimate and safe. But another important aspect of the reporting, which I don't think a lot of people focus on because they say, get it out the door, send me my returnable and non-returnable, and give me my money. But a big part of that is the reporting, especially when it comes to non-returnables, can really show trends and opportunities. You know, detailed and accurate data collection can be turned into valuable business intelligence. By looking at non-returnable data, you can possibly make differences in your purchasing habits. You know, am I ordering too much? Why did I buy this much if I returned it full and sealed? Why did I put so much on my shelf? Right. So the reporting, not only to, you know, keep you accurate for auditing and to help you feel confident that you're getting some money back, but also it can be used as a tool of intelligence.
Yeah, to really make sure you have smart inventory. We always say high inventory, skinny wallet. Skinny inventory, fat wallet.
Yeah, especially, you know, if you have a large chain, a lot of facilities that you're responsible for, and you're handling the reverse distribution part, having all of this data at your hands, you can roll it up very quickly to see each store what they're returning. And you know, a lot of times you can just do I need to talk to all my stores, or do I need to talk to individual stores?
Oh, sure.
So the data also help with just management purposes. So yeah, definitely. I don't think people dive deep enough to really see where the benefits are with your returns. It's not just about how much am I going to get.
Sure. So that's a great segue into my next question. You know, pharmacists and people in general, including Heather Haro, we love social proof. We absolutely love social proof. And I think when folks think of reverse distribution, they think of it as a process instead of something like you said. It can change your inventory around. It can help you with all of these strategies. Can you share some stories where reverse distribution has truly made a significant difference in somebody's pharmacy?
Sure. I once worked with a pharmacy chain who managed over 600 LTCs. some of his major concerns were so he watched his returns a lot, and quite often he would want certain products to be purchased from a different manufacturer, right? And he'd have to relay all of this messaging to, these 600 stores. Or he would find out that returning a product within 30 days or 10 days, or maybe, doing the return himself was more beneficial to get the credit, or it was required by the manufacturer that he returns it direct to them.
Sure.
So how I helped him was we would meet monthly, and I would give him reporting, and I would say, okay, he would email me, here's the products I don't want sent in from my pharmacies. Oh. And I would watch his reporting, and as it was coming through, I was able to pivot his data and say, okay, here's your 50 stores that have returned this item. And he was able to, like I said, a few minutes ago, manage just those few stores, because you can imagine sending this kind of communication to 600 facilities. They either didn't look at the email, or they looked at it and over time forgot about it. It's really, really hard for somebody that oversees that many facilities to manage that pharmacy. So that data was used for him to identify where he needed to enforce the communication or make his changes. So that was one story that kind of where the data helped him. Another story, again, came from this non-returnable data. At Flash Returns, with the non-returnable data, we give you reason codes. And those reason codes are very important. One of those reason codes being simply that a manufacturer doesn't issue credit. So I had this customer who was able to look at their non-returnable data and quickly identify a recurring high volume of product that was returned full and undispensed. And it all went non-returnable simply because the manufacturer doesn't issue credit for that product. Ow. So that's how that, using that data, stopped him in his tracks. And again, what I focus on with some of my customers is I will do these annual and quarterly business reviews, and I'll identify products that I see going through as non-returnable. And I'll say, here are your top 10 non-returnables, and here's the value that you lost because of that. I love that. By meeting with that one customer and saying, hey, you got a lot of products you're returning to a manufacturer that doesn't have a return policy. Now, maybe they have to purchase through that manufacturer, I don't know. But maybe in their purchasing department, they could purchase this product through a different manufacturer. Yeah. So that could be the difference there. And again, maybe that they're purchasing too much. So, those are some success stories, and it always comes back to the data. That's where the success comes from, is look at the data, but use the data.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Collecting data does nothing unless you use it.
Yes.
I love that. So we often talk about at Diversify, we often talk about using the data. We love KPIs. Well, Lisa loves KPIs. I do too. I think I'm funny. I'm really not. But
throughout my history, I've been known as the data geek.
Yes, that's you and Lisa would be BFFs.
Yes, and I can't tell you, when I extract data, I'm actually happy when I'm doing it. And I'm like, oh, isn't this exciting? Look at all this data that I just put together. And everybody's like, yeah, sounds great. And I'm like, no, I really love crunching numbers, crunching data. And when I can help a customer from that data, it feels good. Like you always want to feel good about what you're doing. And I feel good with what we have at Flash. I feel good with our reporting, our transparency, our honesty. It just feels good to love where you work and what you're doing,
I love that. I feel the same, although not about the numbers, but where I work. Lisa is the same way. We often are on people to get their KPIs in, because you don't know what you don't know, and you can't fix what you don't know. And sometimes you may not need to fix anything. You may be doing spectacular and fantastic. And other times you just need to fix it. And who in the world knew, because I did not, that Flash offers business reviews, that you do what you said. I would like to go back to that, because I think that's super important, and you just kind of glazed over it. You do quarterly and monthly, is that what you said? Or you can do?
Generally, you don't want to do monthly, because you're not going to have enough data to really. There's not much to look at over a month.
Sure.
But I do offer quarterly, annually. biannually. It all depends on what the customer wants to look at. But and business review in the sense of on a monthly basis, if you have products you don't want sent in, then yes, monthly I'll email you the report and it'll be rolled up and here you go.
I love that.
So we do offer a business review if that's what customers are looking for. And I do think that, like I said, somebody with multiple facilities under their belt, these chains, they're going to be, more into a business review than maybe your everyday pharmacy, because simply getting your returnables and non-returnables and explaining how to look at it for an independent pharmacy, a standalone pharmacy, I think that's enough.
Yeah.
But for your larger conglomerates, you're going to nobody wants to sit there and roll this all up. So I will do that for you.
Yay, call her. She's happy to do it. I absolutely love that. And I did not know. That was another thing I didn't know about Flash. So, so in 2024, we've seen the industry change 15 times just in 2024. It seems like our little niche of the world is changing all the time. Is there future trends that we should be looking out for? Tell us what the future looks like for reverse distribution.
So I think the future is going to be very much involved with this DSCSA and tracking and tracing. So I don't know if everybody's educated on this as well. Tracking and tracing and the DSCSA, really, reverse distribution doesn't fall under its belt and guidelines right now. And that's because we're end of life. So when DSCSA came out with their rules and regulations, they put everybody under the umbrella, including reverse distribution. And what happened was Stericycle and a few other reverse distributors pretty much wrote to the DSCSA, letting them know that we really shouldn't be involved because this is a forward chain act, right? Mm-hmm. This is an act that deals with forward chain pharmacy. And we're end of life. We're the waste, right? So it was decided by the DSCSA that, okay, you know what, they're right. Reverse distributors won't be held to the DSCSA Act. But I think that eventually we will be, and it will move to us. But I think people should feel rest assured that as of today, their returns data is enough to satisfy tracking and tracing when it comes to reverse distribution. But definitely have been hearing through the rumor mill that I think it's going to land on us again. And we're going to have some tracking and tracing, which I'd like to bring up those 2D scanners again. Theresa mentioned it before. With Flash, when you sign up, we give all of our customers a free 2D scanner. And what that does is with the 2D scanner, it brings in all the information from the product, including lot number, expiration date, NDC description. And all the customer simply has to do at that point is put in a quantity and then move on, which is very different from the way returns are done currently within the industry, which is you kind of have to enter in all of that information yourself. You have to put in the expiration date. You have to put in the lot number. So, this goes back to also saving them time. Sure. But these 2D scanners are going to bring in all the information that's required by the DSCSA. So we're already prepping for what we see to be the future. And even if it doesn't end with reverse distribution being a part of this act, it's still going to help the customer anyways with saving the time for, the inventory.
Sure. I love this. I absolutely love this. It's great. And it sounds to me like, and I'm kind of an all over the place girl, if you guys haven't noticed. But streamlining the process is like number one.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the scanners are going to help you do that. You're going to get it all through, and then you're going to be able to get reports back. Like it seems like it's just a scan and go kind of, a Target self-service line.
Yes.
Yeah. I like that.
So is there any tricks or anything for somebody that's maybe already a Faast user, or maybe becoming after they hear this awesome podcast, Flash members, how they can make their efficiency better?
Well, I think, throughout this conversation, we've pointed out a few things that are really, going to help them be efficient. And like I said, picking the right reverse distributor is going to be pivotal in ensuring that efficiency. I think that, the pharmacy needs to focus on what are the processes the reverse distributor is using to do my returns? How quick can I do it? Are they hassle-free? Is the reporting transparent? Is it easily readable? Is the reporting easy? Can I easily see what my fee is and what I've received? So I think just choosing a reverse distributor properly, one that, again, is transparent, where the reporting is easy to read, I think will help in that efficiency. And here's why I kind of like to highlight flash returns, because obviously I think choosing flash would be, of the best interest of, the pharmacy, because we are hassle-free. Our rates are all inclusive. As I mentioned before, we don't charge for shipping. We don't charge for 222 forms. There's none of these ancillary fees like destruction. Another fee is in-date fees. When in-dates come through a reverse distributor, a lot of times they'll charge you on holding that product. And they'll charge you based on the estimated return value per month. So they may charge you a 5% storage fee every month that they're holding that product based on the estimated return value, which we know is much higher than what you're going to get back, right? Yeah. They also have service minimums, which Flash doesn't have. So we don't charge for storing your end dates. We don't charge for, when they come through the door. We only charge when they're eligible, right? And our fees are based on actual credits received, which I think helps with that efficiency. Knowing that you're going to get a fee off of what you're actually getting paid out on, excuse me, just feels more honest and transparent.
Right.
Why are you going to charge me on an estimated return value of a product that you're estimating is $100, yet you got back $50, but you're going to charge my fee on the $100? Well, now you run the chance of going underwater. You're never going to see any credit back because your fee is going to outweigh what you're actually getting in return. So at Flash Returns, we do on actual credits received, and we do proportional billing. So if your fee is higher than the credit coming in, what we'll do is we'll take a portion of that fee, and then we'll, run it to the next return. Oh. We'll kind of roll it over, should I say, not run it into, roll it over to the next return. So that way you're getting something back each time.
That's fantastic.
Also, I think I went a little deep into our reporting, but, we do have very easy reporting. We do have reporting that rolls up specifically what your return was. We assign return numbers to everything, so you can use that return number to find which products belong to that return when you returned it, the value of it, how much of that value went returnable and non-returnable. It'll show what we've collected to date, and then what your fee was. So it breaks it down all in a rolled up report for you. You don't have to do the math yourself. You get one reconciliation report that shows all of this to the customer. So really easy marriage between all the data. And I think this really speaks to, our founders. Right. This was the point, right? The point was I'm sick and tired of dealing with the gray. I'm sick and tired of not knowing and understanding reverse distribution. So you know what? I'm just going to do it myself.
Yeah.
So that's how this was all designed. This was all designed to say, well, what were the things that we hated? And let's fix that.
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. That's always the best way to start a company, is when somebody is living it, and then they make it better. They make it better.
Yeah.
I love that. Theresa, tell us how we can get a hold of you or become Flash members. What's the best way for us to do that?
So you could simply just email I'll let Theresa know. She knows the best way for the customer service line. But you could just go online, and it's an easy registration. Once you go on our portal,
flashreturns.com,
okay,
and you'll see the button that says register. So you can start with that and set up your account right there and then, and start sending in your returns. You could also email us at support@flashreturns.com or help@flashreturns.com. Both of those work. And of course, our 800 number is also on the website, flashreturns.com.
I want to add that you guys have been one of our very first folks that live on our partner page. So if you're on DiversifyRx, go to our partner page and you will see our billboard to our friends at Flash Returns as well. You can click that and it takes you to all the places that Theresa talked about as well. Is there any last words? Is there any last people do this now?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to add the last word, I would say don't forget about reverse distribution, because it is an important part of the pharmaceutical industry. And it's more important than people realize, because they're so focused on the forward chain part of it. They're so focused on the patient part of it, which of course takes precedence. But if you don't choose a good reverse distributor and you don't have a reverse distributor that's meeting all your needs, you can find yourself in a sticky situation. So I urge people to look at their current reverse distributor and say, are any of the things that were said on this podcast ringing true right now? Maybe I should look at that. Look at your agreements, look at the terms and conditions, and just make sure you know what you're being charged for as far as services and you're getting the best service possible.
I love that. Again, all of we'll have show notes in the bottom portion of this. Reach out to Theresa. It seems like she just likes to talk, kind of like Heather Haro. So reach out and talk to her. Thank you all for listening. I will talk to you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, that was really good, ladies.
That was really great.
I think that went really well.
Yeah, before it started, I was kind of agita inside my stomach a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm pretty, so I don't know if you, I had a radio show for like 6 years. So I'm an okay interviewer. Like
you were great.
Theresa, I think that you could do a course that could live inside of our membership on how to read those reports, or what reports you should be getting, or the analytics and the KPIs. Just think about it. Okay. You don't have to answer me now. So our courses are, however long it is, we like to just break it up into 5-minute videos. So because, part 1, part 2, part 3 kind of thing. And then we also like to have an activity at the end. So even if it's them trying to, put in some formulas themselves, or reaching out to you can be the last thing, like any of that. We also maybe should get with you and figure out what are some good numbers, some good goals, so we could add some KPIs into our membership. And it would be all under Flash Returns and all that. So I don't know if you already have a KPI for that, a formula on like you should be between 2 and 4%, and you take what you've sent divided by what something. You're better with numbers than I am, but something like that. We might add a KPI to our matrix about it.
I have to think about it, because it does become extremely difficult to have hard goals when it comes to numbers with reverse distribution. The reason being is because of the policy changes, and what may be true today may not be a month from now or a year from now. So we have to be very careful about setting goals as far as what you could expect back. But I would say that as far as looking at returns and the reporting, definitely that's something I could point out, ways you could be using the data and how to roll that data up. But I also think that there could be some education courses. I didn't ever talk to you about this, but so I used to do all the trainings and education courses for my last position.
Okay.
And I created all of the tests and training courses and PowerPoint presentations. That's what I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was the educator on reverse distribution at my former employer, which was Guaranteed Returns. That's what I did. Hence why I know so much. I do a lot of research.
I love that.
So there could be some, reverse education coursing that might be helpful in just understanding that. Like I said, there's a lot of factors to the return that people don't know, like that 20 to 30, sometimes 50% restocking fee by the manufacturer.
That's wild. I will say you guys are on our, let me look really quick so I can tell you. You're on our matrix already. I think you might be in our foundation area. Like you have to have that settled. Let me double check. And I'll share my screen so you guys can look at it really quick. This is our matrix for our membership. So let me see. You guys are.
Heather, I want you to know that I hate doing all this, by the way. Even though I was the one talking, I was like, oh man.
You are so good at it.
I know. I want to be bad at it, I think.
No, you're really good at it. So you guys already live either in our reverse, so poor cash flow, low profits, or our how to build a strong foundation. I'll have to look a little bit further to figure out exactly where you guys are. I believe that you guys live here in mastering your gross margin, but I'm not 100% sure. But this is what it'll look like. So there's masterminds in here, there's sessions, and it would just have your pretty picture and say flash returns, totally branded to you, all of that kind of stuff.
And then your members go on this list and they see where they measure up. Is that how they're using it?
Yep. So they can mark themselves green. So this is self-selecting. So it's green, yellow, red.
Okay.
I bet you're in inventory turns.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Duh. So here are the courses. So you would be in a course here. And they can take those courses to get themselves green. Like when you first say you just become a member, you do step 1 first and you go through and self-select how well you're doing. And then you work to turn those green. And you work with, so we have coaches. So we have coaches for our unlimited members, which we have less than. Our essential members, which is $300 a month. They're not supposed to they get coaching, but not like unlimited coaching, but they all get it. Like we don't say no. So we literally help people get through each of these to where they're good.
It's cool.
Yeah. So that's the way our membership works. So that's where you would live in that course forever.
That'd be great.
Okay. All right. And then thank you, ladies, for coming on. It was good.
Thank you so much for having us. It was a good time.
That was great, Heather.
Thank you so much.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.